Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for showing up tonight. Can we get a round of applause?
That's me.
That's you.
Thank you.
Been waiting for that.
So, thank you everybody for being here. Thank you to the panelists. We had a chance to meet briefly. I didn't give them any of the questions because I'm mean and I like to have real conversations. And my goal with this panel is really to show you guys just a candid look at entrepreneurship. It's, I think I'd like to kind of survey the crowd. How many people have started a business or are thinking about starting a business? Raise your hand, please. All right, so okay, we got the right crowd. So you know, when you're starting a business, you might think either you're looking at these kind of entrepreneurial superstars and it feels like, am I smart enough? Am I capable enough? Am I like them? And you don't really hear the real story behind it. And that's what we want to change tonight. So I did warn them ahead of time. I says these questions will be a little bit more candid, a little bit more real, but they're all game. And if they're not game, they'll just pass the mic, and that's okay. So let's do some quick introductions. I'll start with Angel. She's with Market Collective. Can you give us? We'll make it just. I mean, it's good practice. Couple sentence elevator pitch. Let's hear it.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Angel. I'm one of the co-founders of Market Collective, which is, in a nutshell, an artist and market in Calgary created to do community building through the arts and support artists and artisans and food vendors and local breweries and deodorant makers and everyone in between.
That's awesome. Thank you.
How many deodorant makers do you have?
One.
Good.
Good answer.
And then we have Neige and Pippa. They are from Routine. It used to be Routine Cream. Now it's Routine.
Well,
It's still Routine.
Routine Cream's our Instagram handle.
Okay. So elevator pitch. Let's go.
Okay, so I'm Neige, I'm co-founder with my sister-in-law Pippa of Routine Cream, our natural deodorant, best natural deodorant you'll ever try. We started at Market Collective, so there's a testament to how great of work Angel's done. She's our angel. Yeah, that's it. We're sold in about 1,000 stores. We have distribution worldwide, from Dubai to Denmark and the States as well, and we know the underarm well.
That's pretty good.
New slogan there. And then we have Graham. He was the only man invited tonight, but we are honored to have him. That's why he gets the stool.
That's right.
You know. So Graham is from Toolshed Brewing. Is it Toolshed Brewing or Brewery?
Brewing company.
Brewing Company. I got it all wrong. It's a bad start. I mean, give us the pitch. Why beer?
Yeah, my business partner and I met overseas in Afghanistan doing government and military IT infrastructure for the U.S. Marine Corps and Canadian troops, and that's how most businesses start, right? You meet in Kabul. We actually live 3 blocks away from each other here in town, and we just loved brewing beer in my backyard tool shed. And so, you know, that moment where you say Afghanistan sucks, we should make beer for the rest of our lives. And then everything else happens between that day and today. So yeah, we did pull it off. We helped change some laws in the province to help, you know, the breweries now that are started up, and yeah, we're also sold in about 1,000 locations across Western Canada, and still both married to our spouses, which I think is the greatest achievement so far. Yeah.
I think that's worth a round of applause just for So, since you have the mic, let's start with you. I want to know how tough was it on your personal life when you started? You lose friends, you still have your marriage, so that's good. So how tough was it?
Yeah, it was tough in a couple respects. We recognized right off the bat that banks laughed at us, and investors had no time for a couple of idiot IT guys wanting to start a brewery where we had no experience. So we only exist still to this day because we have 10 good friends that believed in us, that gave us their life savings. And I don't know about you guys, I was raised not to take money from friends.
Or life savings.
Yeah, let alone life savings. So that's tough. But personal life as well. You get going on this journey, and everybody looks in from the outside and goes, "That's so cool. You have a brewery." But what they don't see is that I have 600,000 kilometers on my truck from the journey of what it took to build this business, and I'm brewing. I'm building the actual facility. Going out and taking down barns for the wood, and then at night I'm out in the street trying to tell every single person one at a time what my business is about, because nobody's heard of us, right? And so for about 5 years, I would get home at about 2 in the morning, and my wife works at 5 in the morning, so I don't dare go upstairs and wake her up. At 2 in the morning, she'll kill me. So I sleep on the couch, and for a couple hours, and I wake up and make coffee for my wife, and then she goes to work and repeat. And that's it's a tough thing, because you get even asked by your kids, "Dad, why do you sleep on the couch?" And I'm like, "Buddy, Mom's not mad at me. It's just this is the sacrifice right now that we're going through. It's 18 hours a day for a long time to pull it off." And boy, oh boy, you gotta have a wife that's willing to go down that road and sacrifice along with you for that journey. So it was tough on Tracy. It was tough on the kids. We never went on vacations. We didn't do anything for a long time. And it was tough on friends that gave me life savings and then didn't know anything about business, just trusted me and hoped that I knew what I was doing. So that's a solid amount of burden on the shoulders.
Especially with the life savings. I mean, that's just scary.
So life savings for you starting a business is one thing, but when you have
Other people,
everybody else is all in, and I think that's an appropriate amount of burden to make sure you come up with really cool solutions to unsolvable problems.
So I'm curious from somebody else in terms of what do you think was your personal biggest sacrifice that you had to make and let go?
I have to think.
Was it obviously for Grandma it was sleep?
No, time with my family.
Time, family?
Yeah, I abandoned my wife and kids. My kids are 12, 13, and 14, and I abandoned them for 5 years. It's horrifying.
That's horrifying. So personal sacrifice, or was it, is it time, or is it, is it, for me, video games went right out the window. It's something I was really into, and unfortunately, they were gone, right?
Big man.
I don't know. Market Collective was an interesting one because we started 10 years ago, and Angela and I had just met, and we went out for breakfast with some friends. We met on a front stoop, and we liked each other right away. And so 2 weeks later, we met for coffee just to chat, and then we met up again 2 weeks later. Kind of like brewed this idea, and then within 2 months, the first Market Collective had started, and we each put in $50. So our sacrifice was so minimal at the beginning, which I think is so different than most businesses. And when we started, I can't speak for Angela, but for me, I was just passionate about doing something, and I still don't really consider myself an entrepreneur generally. But it wasn't like a business starting, it wasn't like an entrepreneurial idea, it was just this like, oh my god, this would be so fun to get everyone together in one room, like everyone that we like. And so, but I actually do remember my sacrifices. We were talking about it. I was in my last semester of school, of university, in my undergrad, and I kind of floundered through university and just ended up doing like a degree in communications and culture. Market Collective started up in June. I had one more semester to go. And then we just did this one market. It was pretty good. And then I went to Vancouver for the whole summer. I came back in September for 4 months to finish school, and then I was going to move back to Vancouver. And I didn't have that much stuff in my life. Like I don't think I drove at this time. I just like biked and walked around. And when I got back for school, I had ended up painting my room, and I got a new bed. I never had a new bed in my life. And I remember one night, I was like, oh my goodness, I think I'm like making Calgary my home. And I like looked out, because I had also just bought like a 1990 Ford Ranger. So I was just like, oh my gosh, my walls are painted. I got this new bed for Christmas, and I own a like $1,000 Ford Ranger. Like I think I've just like dug, like I think I'm like planting some roots here. And I laid in my new bed and just cried for like a full day, because I was like, I don't want to stay. Like I want to go to Vancouver and I want to do like all this stuff, but I just had to like see it out. And I think we were, by that time there was like a market in June, and then we did one 2 months later, and then 2 months later, so that we were 3 markets in November. And you could already tell something was like kind of brewing that was going to be awesome. And I think that was probably not even my biggest sacrifice, but the biggest decision was like, do I still go or do you like see it out? And now it's like 10 years later, and it is my home. And
So in between those two time points, when did you decide, okay, I'm going all in? Like this is it, I'm not thinking about the other city, this is it, I'm doing this business?
like I'm a pretty passionate person, so even though I thought I was moving, I was all in from like the second I met Angela. Like we were just both all in. But I think it was probably after like that third one, so it was probably like into the new year, so like 8 months in, that it was like, okay, I just like want to see this out, regardless of what it is. And now it's like been 10 years, so yeah, I still am all in, but
Yeah, our city needed that so badly. Yeah, we needed that.
So I actually have a follow-up question for you. So you recently, from my understanding, you recently took over the business from your business partner.
yeah.
So to people that are thinking about starting, would you say, and I shared with you that I've had a tough business partnership that didn't work out. Would you say, if somebody says, I'm starting a business, would you say, get a business partner or do it alone?
Oh man, it's like such a tough one, because I think like what Ange and I always said through the whole time is like, I think the biggest thing that we learned about partnership is that there's always more work than you know. And there's always this idea, especially in partnership, we were on this panel last year talking about partnership, that one of our biggest kind of fights that happened, I guess, not even fight, one of our biggest disagreements, we didn't really fight that much, it happened when I was like, well, I want to go out for coffee with you, she's like, I want to go out for coffee with you. I was like, okay, good. And so we went out for coffee, and both kind of at the same time, we were like, I think I'm doing all the work. We're just like, what? How can you be doing all the work? Like, I'm doing all the work. She's like, how can you be doing all the work? Like, I'm working myself to the bone. And so then I think kind of out of it, we just like chuckled, and we're like, right, there's probably more work than we know. And so I think that's like one of the things that you can really like celebrate about partnerships is people really, like they pick up the slack that you have, or they like compliment the things that you're not as good at. You can compliment the things that they're not as good at. And for us, it wouldn't be what it was without both of us.
Right.
There was so much of both of our like visions and our hearts embedded into it that if she just did it, I don't think it would have like lasted. And if I just did it, it definitely wouldn't have lasted. But there was kind of this ebb and flow of like ideas and collaboration and exchanges of things, like your strengths and your weaknesses. And so I think partnerships are amazing. There's like definitely hard things about them that you have to like compromise. It's like a relationship, you have to compromise, you have to do all this stuff. But last December, we decided that we were gonna like change the shape of it, and she was gonna do something else. And when we were talking about it, we're like, you know, this isn't really as sad as it is like a celebration that we've actually been together for 10 years. Like that's an awesome thing. And we kind of, when we were talking about it, we're like it wouldn't be where it was today without both of us. But then at the point we were 10 years later, we got to the point where one person just had to steer the ship because of whatever reasons, is that it kind of needed that like jump forward, and it could have been either of us. And that was kind of our discussions, was like, well, who should it be? What do we want? Like, what do each of us want in our personal lives, and how do you like make that decision forward? But really, like kind of at the root of it, we just thought, like, this is awesome. It's been 10 years. It's not crazy that somebody will leave. And so yeah, she's doing some like new and cool things, and Market Collective gets to take like just a slightly different direction, but there's so much of Angela still in it that it just couldn't even be separated. So I would say the best thing is to have a business partner for 10 years. And
There you go. And then move.
I don't know.
So-
but yeah, I do think like one more thing is I feel like I from it can kind of have an interesting perspective, because I know what it's like to be in a partnership. So I can talk to someone in a partnership and be like, here's all the amazing things, here's all the things that are hard. And then I know what that transition is like. And even though ours is really good, it just sucks. Like any sort of transition in relationships and family, moving, it's always hard. It's kind of like that separation and trying to figure out where you're going. And then now I'm kind of learning what it's like to do it on my own. And so I think I kind of gain this interesting perspective of like what all three of those stages feels like. So they're all good and they're all hard. I mean, and they're also all easy. So
Nick, if you don't mind, I want to say something about partnerships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Too. My partner and I lived in the war together. We got shot at. We had kidnapping attempts. We had IEDs, bombs going off around us. And you come home from a place like that and you think there's nobody closer on earth than somebody you've been through a war with. And that doesn't mean that it's going to work with business. I think that a lot of people get into a business and they think, oh, I have a good idea, you like my idea, we should go into business together. Holy freaking smokes, that's a terrifying concept. Like 51% of marriages end in divorce, and you think that if we're just going to start a business together, everything will be good? It's horrifying. I've literally been through a war with my business partner, and also, I never was more fearful in Afghanistan than I was starting a business. We've been way more scared in the business than we ever were overseas. But what I would say is something to take away from that question, it's a great question, is that nobody plans to get divorced. Nobody goes into their wedding or their business and says, man, one day when we fuck this all up and we fight and we split this business into pieces, here's how we should do it, right? So if you can start from the beginning with a real good sense of contracting and say, we need to sit down and look at a unanimous shareholders agreement that covers all of the things. And Jeff and I come from a contracting background in our work with the military, and as close as we are, we fight. Just like my wife and I fight. It's just the way it goes. And I know, looking at whatever possible scenario could happen, we have it figured out. And down to the point of we thought, okay, Graham, what if you die and your wife takes over your shares and tries to turn this into a knitting company? We go, great, we need a Yoko Ono policy. So we literally have an insurance policy for if one of us dies, our partner gets paid out. But that type of planning is seemingly morbid at the beginning. I think my partnership with my business partner is the best thing I could ever imagine, because he's everything I'm not, and vice versa. But that doesn't mean we don't fight, and it doesn't mean that one day something might come to a head where, if it does, you have to have that groundwork in at the beginning to write those types of plans in place at the very. You kind of have to plan for
Do it when
divorce.
things are good.
Yeah, plan for divorce even when you're in your honeymoon phase. It's a horrifying concept, but you got it.
Yeah. So
That's funny. I don't believe in exit strategies. I think that's
Neither do I. We're not exiting.
no.
Yeah.
But when you, I feel like if you're going to go into a business and you're like, what's our exit strategy? You're already planning on ending the business before you've even started.
Yeah.
So we never got there.
We plan to.
Well, I have a follow-up question for you guys then. So how many people told you don't go into business with family?
Everyone.
All constantly, every week, today.
Do you want to explain like our business? who's our?
Yeah, sure. So we're very family run. So we are married. We're married to brothers, is how we're sisters. There are.
We weren't though.
We weren't. I think like you should tell it.
Okay. So
She was the original sister.
I was the original sister by myself, without a sister. So basically, it was me, and I wanted to start the business. Pippa had a really great business background, but she wanted to exit the sort of the corporate industry, and she helped me, and then during that time, she got married to my husband's brother. drink, right? And then now
It's complicated.
And now our brother-in-law, so there's 4 brothers, and then the 4th brother's wife works with us. She's our sister outlaw, and then the last brother that's not married, he is our right-hand man.
He,
So
like,
we're
runs
all
the show.
outlaws working together. So we actually, and my parents used to do the warehousing and the shipping, but they're in Texas now. But so when people say things like, you know, you shouldn't start a business with family, I couldn't imagine not doing a business with Pippa and the rest of the family. So I don't know, I think it's different for everybody, every family. Yeah.
So then how do you deal with somebody that's underperforming, or, you know, a staff issue, an HR issue, but, you know, they come to dinner at Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
You try to kind of separate that. But I feel like when you know somebody on that level of like friendship and family, you actually know how to deal with them on that sort of emotional level when there's a problem even better.
And they're so invested in our company as well. They have a passion for it that somebody off the street doesn't have. They don't know it from the roots, and
They
yeah,
could
there's-
develop it.
They could, yeah, but just out of the floodgates, there's that trust, I guess, if it's the right fit.
So I have a follow-up for you. So you joined Nage, you quit your job, and what was the one thing that you think you wasted the most time on at the beginning? Like, where did you throw away all your time where you should have been working on something?
She doesn't waste time. She doesn't.
I pride myself on being efficient. That's my,
And I don't. So.
yeah.
So-
Looking at Excel spreadsheets, like, you know, I probably looked at more than I needed to, you know, actually, yeah, I remember in the beginning we would get a sale and it'd be from the US and it'd be like, whoa, they're from Wisconsin, and like, just cool stuff that like, that wasn't building it, but it made me passionate about the company, but I didn't need to look at every order and what they were buying and think, oh, this one's selling more, people aren't liking this one, and making up all these theories about your product that aren't necessarily true. I probably wasted a lot of time doing that.
So you've learned not to waste as much time doing that.
Yeah.
What's harder now that you guys are more successful? What's harder now that used to be easier before? Is there something that you used to be able to do quite easily before and now you don't have the time, or it's more difficult to achieve?
Well, anything, because I have 2 kids now. I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, and so I went from, sure, I was in nursing school, and then I was a labor and delivery nurse, and I could run the business on the side, but then I suddenly had a baby, and I couldn't do anything. Like, actually, like, so for the first 3 months, I could carry my baby and hand pipe deodorant, and then she stopped sleeping at 4 months, and I was like, I'm gonna die. Like, I'm backing out of this business, like, I can't do this at all, and took a break. And now I really section my time. I have to power work. You know, I'm in the office for 4 hours, and I just have this to-do list and plow through it, because when I get home, I want to be with my kids and really be with them, not half be with them. So, yeah, it's hard with kids. It changes the game.
I don't know that yet, but. So a question for the panel. When you started your business, do you think you were overconfident or you had too much self-doubt? Like, which side do you think you were leaning for? Whoever wants to answer it.
I was overconfident. I was like, this is the best. You can buy it or you don't have to, so it's up to you. and that was funny because, like, you can't take your product, deodorant for example, you can't bring it to the store and be like, this works. And they're like, yeah, okay, sure, we'll take it. You can't do that because you have to try something. So basically our company was completely built out of word of mouth. We did a couple markets and we're like, this isn't sustainable. So for us to, grow the business. So we brought it to 3 stores and 2 of them took it. And then from there on it was word of mouth because they hadn't heard about it. So like, oh yeah, well we've heard about it, we'll try it. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. So we were kind of overconfident to like the point of being cocky. And
do you think that helped your sales? Do you think it was good?
What?
Do you think that helped?
Yeah, no, it totally did. We were like, because we took that, like, we weren't salespeople. That wasn't what we did. Like, we were just passionate about something that we knew was good. And we didn't, we filled a gap in the market. There was nothing like it in the market. We didn't, invent something that someone else had. We had something super genuine, something we used and needed and the market needed. And I think that when you're not trying to just put another something else on the shelf and copycat something. If you're putting something that there's actually a gap in the market that the marketplace needs, you'll do well. And if you love it, I think other people will as well.
Market Collective was an interesting business to start because it feels like you're not overconfident or self-deprecating. Because I've always felt like a pretty small piece of the cog, and so I like personally I hate self-promotion and I don't like talking about that sort of stuff. So Market Collective was really easy for me to get behind because it was like you should come to Market Collective because like this musician's amazing, and this artist is awesome, and this person's awesome, and so I felt like I couldn't be like insecure in it because there's so many amazing people involved, but I also didn't feel like intensely arrogant about it because it was all like projected outward. It was like you're kind of like shining the light on other people. Market Collective was just this like shell kind of building that like brought all these people together. And even like from the very beginning with our Instagram, like we decided like we wouldn't put any pictures of Angela and I up there. It would all just kind of be focused outward. And someone was like, hey, like it's okay to put a picture of yourself up once in a while. Like people like connecting with that, or like they do. Like, and so we would do them sometimes, but I think for Market Collective it was so easy to be like just passionate about it and not feel like we were selling anything other than just like the amazing like local and creative talent in our city. So yeah, it was kind of an interesting one.
So if you were to do it again, would you have done more self-promotion?
No, for sure not. I don't think so, because it wasn't really the point of it. I mean, from the beginning, we wanted to be about other people, but also if one of us left or if both of us left, this community had to sustain itself, because Market Collective wouldn't be successful if it was all about me, or if it was all about Angela, or if it was all about the two of us, or if it was all about like the team. It was only successful if it was about the artists and artisans that were there. And I think that was like what made it successful. So I don't think we could have changed that, because no one wanted to come to like an Angel and Angela show. They wanted to come and see the creative talent in Calgary.
Right.
I got a good one for that. I've got a real personal connection to this question because it's when Jeff and I started, there was no breweries in this province. There's 2 breweries in Calgary. There's Big Rock and Wild Rose. So we were really overconfident, thinking, holy shit, why are there no breweries? We got this thing in the bag. We're going to start a brewery. We're going to crush the world. And then we found out there was laws prohibiting us from starting breweries, and that sucked. Whenever you get confidence, you get knocked back down a peg pretty quickly. But I think that kind of confidence is so important to be able to get past the things that are going to hit you that you just don't know that are coming. So we had confidence going into this thing that we were going to do well, but when we sat in the tool shed and originally set out what we set out to do, I remember us saying, we've got a plan for nothing but total success. Let's make every decision based on the concept of total success. And what an arrogant thing to say, right? But by planning for that, we go, well, if we're going to succeed, we have to build a big facility. And if we're going to succeed, we have to make these decisions. Moving forward now, you have this big brewery, and you think that everybody's heard of you, but if I go out into the street today and do a sampling of Tool Shed beer, I don't know how many people in this room have heard of us, but I do sampling still, and 80% of people, when I say, do you want a free beer, have you heard of Tool Shed, have never heard of us in this city. So it's a fist fight every day to try to get people to know your business, and people fool themselves, I think, by thinking that people give a shit about our own products. We think we got this great business and everybody must have heard of us. They just have not. So the self-promotion thing is a tough one, because I wasn't into social media at all. I had no self-promotion. In fact, we were ghosts before we started this business. We were not allowed to even exist in a social world. We had to maintain a security clearance where you just didn't know who we were and where we were. So I had to get to a point with this business where I said, well, I will either stay married or get divorced. I will either keep my home or not, based on finding a way to get people to connect with this business. And so a lot of what we saw that worked was not necessarily self-promotion, but it was getting out into the world and into the media and into the news in a way where we could say, what we're trying to accomplish is something much bigger than ourselves. So if you ever have seen me on the news, maybe you saw the patio beer that we were fighting for our patio. It wasn't actually about our patio, it was about every small business in this city trying to get through City Hall. Or, whatever the cause is, we just make sure that it's never just about us. Sometimes it doesn't come across that way, and people will look at you differently and say, fuck that Graham guy, he's so arrogant and cocky and he's just all this confidence. That's not the case. I just know what I gotta do to try to get people to know what we're going to, what we're trying to do. And people have bullshit meters. They know if you're just trying to self-promote, and they know if you have an authentic, genuine cause that you're trying to create for something bigger than your business, and that's what works.
So, I mean, you're well known in the community for having fought all these battles, and from my understanding, you even teach other breweries how to run their business. So, here's a tougher question. Did you ever have to sacrifice personal values in order to advance your business forward? And if you just want to throw that mic away and walk away, that's okay too.
No, absolutely, of course. I mean, that's a very, very tough question, because you lay awake at night and you think, what am I doing all this for? And that's the 3 a.m. crying in your bed moment of, is it a bird? Yeah, absolutely. And so, so for me, my kids go to Trinity Christian School. We go to church every Sunday. I'm the guy at the church that makes booze for a living. All right? So I raise some red flags with the kids, parents at the Christian school that, yeah. And so when my son says, hey, let's have my birthday party at the brewery. All-nighters at the brewery for 12-year-olds don't go over well with the moms of the Christian school. But that's not even, I don't even think that's going against my own core of who I am. For me, it's that everything from day one has been about my family. And so the moment, you asked earlier, what was the tipping point really that Angel went all in for? For me, it was looking at my boys and saying, I'm doing this for my kids. Because they don't listen to what I say, they watch what I do. And so for me to say, I can't tell my boys to go after shit in life and to take risks and take chances and follow the dreams if I'm not doing it. So I made that commitment to do it. And in so doing, abandoned my kids for 5 years. Like, that's a horrifying concept. Like, you think about sacrifice for starting your business. I went through a good portion of years where I just wasn't present in my kid's life, and it breaks my friggin' heart to think about how many years in the core development of my boys that I was head deep in labeling beer cans, right? And all the while thinking I'm doing this for my boys, but at the same time going, is my head in the wrong direction? Am I doing it for the boys, or is it selfish? Is it for me? Is it for vanity? Because now people know the tool shit guy, and you just get lost in it so quickly. So I went through a really hard time of thinking, what am I actually doing this for? Is this about me and trying to be somebody in the city? Am I truly doing it for my kids? And if I am, the moment I can get to the point where I can take a step away and I guess thank and take care of my boys and my wife the way they deserve to be for being part of that sacrifice, I would. And so it's a great question, because it gets right to the core of the hardest part of running this business for me, was just being not present for the reason that I started the business.
Well, you'll be the most popular dad when they turn 18 for sure. So the whole school is gonna love you.
You went to 18 to drink. They'll be popular when they're 14.
When they turn 60, there you go. So, I want to queue up a similar question for whoever wants to take it, which is, can you recall a moment in your business where you had to, maybe a moment in your business where you're the most proud of the decision you made, maybe a moment in your business where you're the least proud of the decision you made? That was just a really tough call.
I guess I am proud of one of our decisions. We came to a point, we were hand making everything, and then like I said, I had a baby and I left Nej, and she did every single job by herself for 6 months and was ready to chop my head off by the end. And we decided, for the same reasons, we both have 2 girls. Nej well, actually one of Nej's is here today, she's 15, but 10 and 15. And we, work-life balance and being there with our kids is also very important to us. And so we came to a decision where we decided to outsource the manufacturing of our products, and we still chose a manufacturer that's here in the city. We believe in supporting local, but it was sort of the only way in that moment that we could do what we wanted to do, to be there to pick up our kids from school and that sort of a thing. But what I'm proud of is because we went to that decision where suddenly you're having to upfront or 6 weeks in advance pay for every single product that you got going into the shelves, the cash flow gap that we experienced was insane and almost knocked us over. So we came to the decision of, do we have an investor? And we were talking to numerous people who were interested. We were part of the District Ventures, the accelerator program, the first cohort there. And the decision was, do we go with the investor or do we fund with the bank and pay a lot in loan payments? And after we almost went with investors, we were ready to pitch to sort of different avenues, and we really had this huge internal struggle and came down to the core that we decided to go with the bank and to go that route. And I think we are proud of that decision. Right now it impacts us every day. It's a hard decision because you don't have, but we own the business 100% between the two of us, and for right now that's really important for us.
I think the worst decision we ever made, and I don't even think it was a decision, but it was not doing taxes for any tax for
Cut the mic.
4.5 years. And it was like this crazy thing because we didn't know we were starting a business, and so like the first year we just kind of did our thing, and then we moved to the Anthill building on our 1-year anniversary because we've outgrown like our first place, which is the Carpenters Union Hall, and it was owned by the city. And so they're like, yeah, you can be here. We just need to see insurance and a business license. And next week in the meeting, we're like, absolutely, no problem. We'll bring it. So like we laughed in like 2 seconds out of the meeting. We're like, okay, like paper, rock, scissors. Okay, you got the business license. I got insurance. Like we got 5 days. And then everything just kept growing. And like Marketplace had moved at a quicker pace than maybe Angela and I were. And oftentimes I felt like Marketplace kind of took a life of its own, and we were just kind of following it, being like, okay, a business license, we'll get that, we'll do this, whatever. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that just never happened was any sort of like taxes or any paperwork and like anything. And so we'd wake up sometimes in the morning and be like, oh, I feel so sick, we need to do it today. But then it'd be so daunting that like 6 months later or whatever, like you would keep going. At some point, we got a GST number and we charged GST. We just never paid it back to the government. So we're like, they would call us and say, well, you have to pay GST. We're like, we just don't know. Like, we have no idea. Like, what if we send you $500? Like, so we sent them like some increments of like cash. Ange came over to my house one day. We're like, okay, today we're gonna do taxes. Like 4 hours into it. Like we started in 2008. This was in 2012. 4 hours into it, we'd gone through June and July 2008. And we're just like, holy crow! Like, well, how are we gonna do this? And of course, it's like sunny outside. There's all this better stuff. So that's one of the worst. The best decision was we're like, let's go to Nelson, rent a cabin with no phone service. And we'll just bring 2 printers, like 3,000 pieces of paper. We'll provide something to an accountant by the end of like 10 days that they can like work with. And so we went to this off-grid cabin in Nelson. It had like Wi-Fi, but it didn't have any phone reception. And we'd wake up at 7:30 in the morning. Somebody would cook breakfast, and the other person would start going through every email that we had. And like, I found an invoice. Okay, they print it. I found a receipt. They print it. This person left the table, and we had like all these folders laid out. So it was like June 2008, July 2008, well August, like June 2000, whatever. So we had all these folders, and we'd like do it. And I think like everyone around us got so scared because we would like go into town and call them like, "Hey, Daniel Kirk, you did a mural for us in 2009. And we're just about to do our taxes. Like, do you think you could still provide an invoice for that?" And like every single person in our community was like, "Oh God, like we need to do our taxes too." guys were like, well, this is like, we felt like we were like the CRA, or we called on and say, hi, we rented from you from 2008 to 2011. Do you have a tracking of what we rented? And they'd be like, yeah, we can send you it. So we were there for like 8 days, 12 hours a day. And someone would make breakfast. If we'd run out of paper, we wouldn't even both go to town into Nelson. We were like right outside Nelson. One person would go, the other person. Someone would make dinner while the other person, and we just had these like shifts and we couldn't stop. And the guy, this like really nice French guy, owned it, and he came in and he said like, what are you guys doing? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you have these printers running all day and night. Like, I don't know. So he gave us 3 extra days. So we got like 30 extra hours. He's like, you can just have it for free. There's no booking. It does not look like you're having fun. Like, we're not charging for this. But so it was like, we did it. We would break for dinner for an hour, and neither of us are really television watchers, and we were watching Parks and Rec, and literally like vomiting. We were laughing so hard. And I don't actually know if Parks and Rec is funny to this day because taxes were so boring. We were like, oh my god, like this is so funny. But after that, it was 10 days, 10 hours a day, so like I guess 200 hours between the two of us. We came back, filed everything, and then everything was like been up to date like since then. And so if you're like in a position where you are like, wow, I started selling things and actually have no records of it, it's okay. You can figure it out.
It's not okay. You should probably start filing them okay.
You'll figure it, it'll catch up to you. It's not,
Not if you make booze. It is not okay.
So in question, whoever wants to answer it. So when you're in those moments where you have to grind in a cabin, doing taxes for 8 days straight, there's definitely the feeling of wanting to quit. So I'm curious, what has stopped you in those moments from quitting? Is it the want for your business to succeed, or for you to, or what's stopped you?
Well, I think that to have anything worth having, you have to consistently show up. And I think that before I partnered up with Pippa, I would always get almost successful at something, but then it would scare me and I'd stop. And she's held me accountable, without doing so. Like, I'm just like, I have to continue going, because if I don't continue going, this, like, I don't think she would also. Maybe, but
yeah, no.
I mean,
You need me too.
So I think that that's been what's kept me accountable and kept me going, is having a partner that I have to be accountable for. And also it's fun, and I love it, and it's become like kind of like another child, except you have 18, and like you just want to keep making that thing better, and you see your thing grow, and it's like you wouldn't cut down this beautiful tree that you've grown from seed. I don't know, it's just, it becomes like kind of an appendage or something.
We made a pact that if it wasn't fun, we weren't going to do it anymore.
Yeah.
Like in the middle of a fight, and we have to check back on that. Like, it's not easy and it's hard, but is it overall still fun? Because and the fights are not fun. but we made that pact. So yeah.
For me, it was never even a question of quitting. It was, we would think about the 10 people that gave us their life savings. So I always use the example of my buddy Chuck, the firefighter, who's just a firefighter in the city and saves every penny. And he said to me, dude, I got 50 grand in my name, but I'm getting married this month, so I can only give you 40. And I'm his best man, right? Getting up on stage and seeing them off to get married and then taking their life savings. So I've got this burden of these people that I've got their life savings. There's not even a thought of quit. I'm crying in my bed at 3 a.m. trying to find ways to solve the impossible problems because I can't let Chuck get divorced, right? I think maybe the better question is what was the thing that made us start? Because I've always known I was going to do something, but I just couldn't find my way around all my inadequacies, because I know what I'm great at, but I also know what I'm shit at. And I'm shit at the details, and I'm bad at accounting, and I'm bad at paperwork. I'm the same thing. But my business partner, Jeff, is perfect at those things. But if he tried to go raise money, he would lay on the ground and suck his thumb in fear, right? And so it was, you know, this, when I saw the perfect storm of the two of us, we thought we could do this together, and to take that step, there was never even a thought of quit. And so here we are.
So, you know, speaking of things you're bad at, is there a personality trait, I'm curious, when you were growing up that people said was a bad personality trait of yours that turned out to be quite useful doing your business?
Being disruptive. I have disruptive behavior. Turns out that's a great thing in the world nowadays. Yeah, it's, I've just never accepted what everybody else is doing, and I've thought, okay, if that's the way everybody else is doing, what if I took a sharp right and did something over here that turns out is noticeable because everybody's doing the same thing over here. So when you find those disruptive behaviors and you can instill something in your business that stands out that nobody else is doing, literally it changes the way everybody else after you does the same business. So we've been able to make a few changes in our industry that breweries now all implement, and it comes from, yeah, maybe just being a disruptive little ginger growing up.
And I know you mentioned ADHD when we spoke. I'm wondering if, and you don't have to raise your hand if you want to, but survey, if anybody feel like they're somebody that just has all this energy and has maybe been talked about before about it?
We had a conversation about how I think, like I feel I'm self-diagnosed ADHD, but I've noticed this trend that the people that I recognize that are probably ADHD are tremendous entrepreneurs. And I've pinpointed it to the thought that you can't just get hung up on one thing. You have to be able to take all of it in and be able to jump from problem to problem and with relative ease, and that maybe is a sign of ADHD.
So don't lose hope. It's actually an asset. So is there good advice? So question for panel: is there good advice that was given to you early that you ignored?
Yeah, we ignored. Well, I think everyone told us to put our deodorant in a stick, and we ignored that because we're all about embracing your body and your armpit and loving yourself, and you know, we probably should we have a stick in development. We just can't find the right environmentally friendly method, but we receive advice all the time and often ignore it, really, because we just follow our hearts, and that's great, but you don't know the whole picture of what's going on. So
I start lots of emails with, thank you for the savvy business advice.
yeah, I do, along those lines, absolutely.
So do you have, when you guys are making decisions, do you have a lot of confidence in them, or if not, how do you deal with the self-doubt when you're going counter to the advice that's been given to you?
We make decisions really well.
I think you have to be able to make decisions quick if you want to, like, just get on to the next thing. Like, you have to make that decision now and then keep going, go to the next thing. Because if you wait too long, then you're never gonna finish, and you just want to finish that thing so you can move to the next thing and be
ADHD.
Yeah, and it's not necessarily the right decision, but you have to make a decision so you can discover if you were wrong.
And it can become
Let it go.
costly down the road if you make the wrong decision. But then you learn from that. You're like, oh shit, that was a shitty decision. But
you have to do, or else you won't have anything.
yeah.
So then do you believe in it's better to make bad decisions quickly than make no decisions?
Yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of, I'm curious if there's a skill that you wish you had when you started this. If there's something, somebody is thinking about starting their business, and is there something that says, okay, well, before you start, go learn this.
I think that you need to just go out there and do it. Especially if you're not a person that learns well in a classroom or by someone else telling you something, the best way to learn something is just to do it. You're going to figure it out along the way. You've got all the tools you need. You've got a brain and you've got a body, and just do it and get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot more now than I did 10 years ago. I do all of our bookkeeping, all this sort of stuff.
But you didn't before. You didn't do taxes.
Yeah, and so I think but I often said if I knew what I knew now starting Market Collective, I either wouldn't have started it or wouldn't have had the same grassroots kind of feeling towards it. I think one of the advantages of Market Collective was it was literally so grassroots that everybody actually felt like a part of it. So it felt like it was growing like an organism together. And I think if I knew more, I don't think if we had like a marketing strategy and like design and like a business strategy for our business, I don't think it would have taken the way it did in Calgary in 2008. I mean, fast forwarding 10 years, I think the culture is a bit different, and I think businesses do start with a bit more of a plan, and maybe they need to. But for us, I think our lack of knowledge was actually really beneficial in having people feel like they were really part of it. And there was one guy that I read a few years ago, and he had said that as a creative person or as an artist, your ideas are never fully perfect. They're never going to be ready. And so what you have to do is you have to put them out into the community. It was like this kind of half-baked to full-baked idea. You have to put them out into the community and let the community bake them for you. Because if you wait till you have like the perfect song, you'll never release any music. And I kind of thought about that with Market Collective, is that it wasn't perfect, it was just kind of an idea and something that I was passionate about. But the community really did like fully bake that idea and make it happen. And I wouldn't have been able to, because I still wouldn't have enough skill to do all that. I don't have the creative talent, I don't have all that stuff. But all together it just kind of formed. Yeah.
So if you guys are thinking of starting a business, be sure to grab Angel's cards before you leave, because obviously that's the magic formula. So
I got a quick aha moment. Obviously there's tons of them, right? Like I remember the time I was on a panel and a guy asked a question remembering the labels that were on the cans that I used to as fixed to every single can. I almost got divorced because of those labels, because we would finish brewing and then I had to put every single one of those labels on every single can. So 20,000 cans a night means at 7 a.m. your wife calls you and says, "Where the hell are you?" And I'm like, "You are mad. We got to find my friends on our iPhones. I'm at the brewery." And she's like, no, it's 7 a.m. You got to drive the kids to school, right? So all the way along, you get these aha moments. It's unbelievable. Every step of the way, whenever you stop and you look at where you're at, you're gonna have one of those aha moments. It's crazy. I remember when my mom called me and said, "I read this thing that you're in Earl's." I'm like, "Yeah." She goes, "But not like Earl's restaurants like that we used to eat at." I'm like, "Yeah, we're at Earl's." She goes, "But from your tool shed." Mom, you gotta come check out the brewery. It's bigger than you think, right? There's moments like that. I remember going to a place for a beer and having the server say, "Oh my God, you gotta try Tool Shed. These two guys, they started in their tool shed. It's the coolest story, right? They don't know who I am. I'm listening to this story. It's the greatest thing ever, right?" But for me, one of the first, and I think maybe the most important, was when I was starting this thing, I looked up to people that had started businesses before me, and I thought that they were just a different breed. I thought that they had tiger blood or whatever it was. I just thought that they were a different type of person than I was. And I looked at these guys that had these successful businesses as something different than me, and I didn't think that I would ever achieve what they achieved. I didn't think that I was even going to try. And I remember going to them for advice at times and saying, "Man, this guy's so cool. I can't believe he takes the time to meet with me. I don't know why he does, but look at the business he started." And I just had a different way of thinking about these types of people who had gone before me and started these amazing businesses. And at one point, I stopped at the brewery and I looked around at all the people that were coming to Tool Shed to ask for help for starting their businesses. And I remember this wave coming over me of, holy crap, I've been climbing this ladder and thinking that I'm all alone and I'm just doing my own thing. And at one point I stopped and I looked down the ladder at all the people that were looking up to me the same way that I was looking at the guys that had gone before me, realizing that we're all in the same boat together. There's no difference between the people that have gone before us and who we are, as long as we just jump off that cliff and go. and you put your blinders on and you go after it, and the people that are behind you are going to look up to you and say, oh my God, I need some help from you. And one day you're going to go, holy shit, this is an aha moment. Right? Somebody's looking up to me the same way I looked at everybody before me. So for me, that's one of the greatest ones, because I still look up to businesses like you wouldn't believe, but it's a very humbling thing to look at the people that look up to us for help. And so it changes the way you think about it. Man, I got all the time in the world for everybody that asks us for help.
Well,
right?
that's awesome. So thank you. I think we can end it there. A big round of applause to our panelists.
I was really grateful you ladies left some deodorant on all the chairs because I didn't put any on today. So.
And Angel has free admissions to the next marketplace. So if you want to see the next artist or the next amazing food coming out or the next amazing brewery coming out, come and talk to her.
We'll hook you up on the way out the door.
Perfect.
There'll be Amber or Courtney. Someone will have them at the front door. How was that? You guys have fun? It was great. I can't believe you went to Nelson for 8 days to do your taxes.
If there's one lesson to be learned tonight, if you took one thing away, don't do that.
Or do.
You can get through this. Really amazing. Thank you all for sharing your insights, your failures with us. It was really, really great. And that was a great first way to kick off the panel. What do you think? Should we bring the guys back?
Yeah.
Yeah? Good. Thank you, Graham, for being the first man to be on the panel.
Oh, wow, first man?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an honor.
You might get a real chair
That's
next
an
time.
aha
So.
moment, yeah.
No, it was really good. It was great. And Nick, you did a great job. This was Nick's first time moderating a panel. He came in today. He was like, I Googled it. We're good. Like, I've done my homework.
2 articles, top 10 things not to do on a panel, and I think I avoided them, yeah.
And you shaved. Tell us what happened to you.
Well, I shave. It's first time shaving in 5 years, and my wife saw me. I came home like shaved on Friday, and she saw me and she says, "Huh, you look different." So I still got to convince her, but she wants me to grow it back. But
That's Friday?
Yeah, that's Friday. Yeah.
The opposite thing.
You're like Homer.
But really amazing. Just one final thank you to Alex and the Work Nicer crew. Phoebe, thank you for having us here. Letting us take up space in your lovely homes tonight. Big thank you to all of you, Nage, Pipa, Graham, Angel, and to Nick for being on our first Founder Series. This event is going to be taking place every month from now until March. We're really excited about that. So the next one is back here November 26th, and we're talking about building an A team. So we have James Bocher from Fiasco Gelato, who's sitting there. We have Lisa Shelley from Neil's Yard Remedy and Brittany Ramsey from Land and Development, and they're all going to be kind of talking about culture and what it means to build an A team. So I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you. We're super honored and
Just
excited.
take a little bit of an extra long break because there's that holiday right in the middle of November. But tell your friends if you had fun tonight. Definitely come back and see us. And other ACE events, our monthly Bake to Brunch event is happening on Saturday. There is literally 1 ticket left, so if you haven't bought your ticket yet, do that right now. And then Toast Tuesday, October 23rd, we are at, what is it called? I can't remember, the Pioneer on Stephen Avenue, beautiful space, kind of kicking off your morning with some invigorating vibes for our Toast panel, 7:30 a.m. on the 23rd. So thank you all for hustling and doing what you do and for spending your Monday night with us. That's it. Have a great rest of your week. See you next time.